in
when you're
just
ready
a minute.
to. After a little intro is all.
All right.
Welcome, YoraHome family. This is the February Creators Night. We are going to attempt to take the mystery out of LightBurn. For all those that are familiar with our laser engraving machines, you have your choice of either laser GRBL or LightBurn for the software that we recommend. LightBurn is one of those programs that takes a little bit of finesse to get to know. So our friend Sean is going to walk us through the basics of LightBurn and teach us a few things. While he is speaking, I will be monitoring our chat feed, so if you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to give us a shout out and we will attempt to answer your questions. Sean Nelson is one of our ambassador guests. Take it away, Sean.
Hi, everybody. So we'll go through a few of the steps and some of the tools in LightBurn. It's going to be fast. I'm not going to show you everything, but it'll give you an idea what it can do. Okay. Share my screen. Delete that. So when you first open up LightBurn, you're going to notice up here, this is where LightBurn thinks your laser is. So if you move it, it's going to move. And then that's where it is. Alright, so origin 0, 0. So every time you open up LightBurn, it's going to set it to 0, 0. So right now, my laser is in the upper left corner. So if I try to move it, it's going to move from this position, thinking it's in 0, which is going to cause problems. So always bring your laser where you want 0 to be. Okay. So one of the handy tools in LightBurn to get your screen back is this, what's it called? The pan drag view icon. It gets it back in the corner. So you got your windows over here. You go on the move. We'll start in the move. You got the get position. You can move your laser to a specific position on your grid, wherever you want to get it out of the way. Save positions. It can save a position so you can just move to it later as well instead of typing it up here. You have your you can move it with these arrows for whatever reason. I can't remember the name. I apologize. I'm a little nervous, I guess. Your set origin, clear origin, and you can set your finished position. You can also type that in another menu or setting screen, but you can also do it on the fly in the move window. And you got your fire button so you can see where your laser pointer is that you turn on in one of your settings options in the edit menu. Here's your cut layer screen. This is where you're going to see all your layers. So you can have multiple layers. And then you can change speed and power according, line, fill, all that other fun stuff. As well, you can go into these screens and set different aspects. So when you're in line, you're limited to certain, you can set an offset, but we don't have that with ours. You can kerf, so if you want to burn bigger than the width of your laser, you can, and you know the width of your laser beam, you can set the kerf so you can make an exact circle and you don't have to change it in your design. You can make tabs and bridges. That's more CO2 use, and I think that's also very rare as well. I won't be going through that right now. And if you go in your advanced, you can set pause times in milliseconds. So where it starts, it'll sit there at your power for a certain amount of milliseconds before it starts, and then when it's done its cut, it'll stay on for a certain amount of time. When it finishes its cut, to make sure it cuts right through. Again, more for CO2s, not so much for the diodes. And when you go into fill, you get a little more, you get a few more options. You can change your, you can go bi-directional, which is, well, going back and forth, left and right, so it'll burn going right, it'll burn going left. Or you can go single direction, and it just burn in one direction only. I always have bi-directional on. You can change over scanning. This is the distance the laser will go past any edge of an image, which helps with your burning darker edges than what's inside the image itself. I always have it at 2.5, and that is a percentage of your speed. Line interval, how many lines are within a millimeter or an inch? I go in inches. So it's a pretty small, I couldn't tell you between whatever, but there's 253 lines in every inch. So if I raise my lines per inch, make them more, my line intervals get smaller. Now if I raise my line intervals, my lines per inch get smaller. So less line per inch when you space out the lines more. More lines per inch when you get the lines closer together. Kind of makes sense. You change your scan angle, you can go in whatever direction you want. You can even probably put 2 degrees and you'll be good. I always leave it at 0. And then you can change your number of passes, where you want to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 passes. I never remember to use that, and I usually curse. Now, fill shapes all at once. This will fill everything on your grid at the same time. So if you have five images that you want to fill with text or whatever, it'll just do everything at the same time and go left, right, until it's all done. Now you can go with groups, so you can group a bunch of images together. It'll do that single group first or by itself, and then you can have another group of images somewhere else, even right beside it, and then do that one after. So it'll burn the group on the left first, and then it'll move to the right and burn the group on the right. And then you can also choose to fill every single shape individually. Now, these are used more or less for shortening time or getting some different effects when you have overlapping shapes or images. You can do some pretty funky, cool stuff with that. If you go on the advanced ramp length, I've never played with that. That's for stamp making, so I don't think you can do that with diodes anyway. But with CO2s, that's a big thing, but I don't know nothing about it. And then you can do a flood fill. Sometimes this cuts down time dramatically on a large image that is going to have a lot of surface area to fill and burn.
Sean, this
Yes.
isn't a specific question that someone's typed, but you mentioned adding pauses. I know Laser GRBL has a function where you can rest your laser during a burn. Is what you talked about the same as that, or is that something different?
What I talked about, which I haven't mentioned anything about pausing. The only pause that we can do in LightBurn is actually hitting the pause button down in the laser window here, which I haven't gotten to yet.
You had used the word adding in a pause to.
Oh, yes, the line. No, this is for burning. This is specific to having the laser run constantly in one spot without moving.
Since you had mentioned the word pause, I wanted to clarify that it wasn't the same thing as a pause to rest your laser, just so people weren't confused.
Right. Sorry. No. That's where your laser is going to be on, sitting in one position for a certain amount of milliseconds without moving. And then once it counts down, say 10 milliseconds, then it'll start moving while on. what enables it. I guess I should have mentioned that. You got to enable each port to do that. Yeah, so that's pretty much line and fill. And then you got an offset fill in here. What that does is literally if you got say a shape like this, right? And here. All right, yeah. That group. And set your fill. This will. I don't have offset fill selected. Sorry. So now this is how it's going to go. It's just going to go around in a circle and fill. Be quicker for shapes, squares, circles, stuff like that. Not so good for complex images or vectors that you're going to try to fill. Next, we got the console. This is where you can type your $. You can see all your dollar settings right here, right now. It also goes through, this is where you're going to get error messages, error codes, your error 3, etc., etc. And it'll go through some of the GRBL code as it's burning for you. I got my camera control window on. I'll touch on that at the end. So down here we got the laser. So you got your pause, your stop, your start, your frame. I wanted to go through this frame, but I'm forgetting it right now. You can save your G code. Sorry?
You have to have something on the screen, and that'll just go around its edge for a circular frame or whatever the case may be.
Right. It still does the square. I had it all. I looked at it, but then yeah, it's all gone there now. There's so much that I want to talk about. I do apologize. You can save your G code, run your G code. Home, we don't, diodes, we don't have, maybe with the new machine we can use the home, but with the older frame that I have, home button doesn't work. I use go to origin. That always goes back to where we talked about 00 when you first run the software, wherever it thinks it is. You got absolute coords, current position, user position. I'm a big fan of absolute coordinates, as now LightBurn and my laser will be in the exact same spots at all times. And that's what I like. I know where it is, it knows where it is. You can go through without limit switches, current position, or with limit switches, current position will know where your laser is, as well as according to your bed, but it won't. How do I explain that? It'll just run from where it sits, as opposed to moving to where your image is on the screen. But it'll still keep track of. I'm pretty sure it'll still keep track of your laser and where it is. And then user position, you just move it, and then it just moves from there. And it doesn't matter what layout you have on your screen. Again, it'll just trace your image wherever you have it positioned. I don't know if you guys can see me, so.
We can see you and your screen.
Okay, good to know. I won't pick my nose. So past that, I normally use absolute coordinates, and when I'm using my rotary, I'll use user position or current position, sorry, and then just go from there, and then just sit. Now you got the enable rotary function right down here. You can choose to have that on this window or not. Again, in another settings window we'll go through. I won't go through the rotary. Tony has a really good video on it on how to set them, I believe, both up and get you rolling on that. You can choose to have everything burn, or you can just choose to click one object on your screen and then have it burn when you push play. Depends on what's going on your screen. Optimize cut path. These are your options down here. You can cut your inner shapes first. Cut in direction order, which would be the order your layers are in. So from top to bottom. You reduce travel moves, which saves time. You can hide backslash. I've never had much of an issue with that. Reduce direction changes. Sometimes it's beneficial to have that off. You get it to choose its best starting point. Choose a corner if possible. All these help with taking time off sometimes, and sometimes they add time, so you have to play with those. Okay. I like having show my last position on, so that's why when I move it forward, you can see this red dot moving. That way I know where LightBurn thinks my camera is, or my laser is, and if my laser is not there, then I know to orientate everything. Yeah, sorry. Down here you get your devices you can choose. I only have one. Some people may have more, so you can pick your device, your COM. Usually you only have one available unless you got more than one machine on. And then GRBL, which is the machine. Art library. Art libraries are nice because it keeps anything you've worked on or you made and you want to save it, you can just throw it in different categories so they're easy to find and retrieve later, which I will be using. So in order to make one, you just click new, type in a name. This is going to go, I don't know, test, delete that later, go test. Alright, now it shows in my library list. So just make a silly shape, group it, and then import graphic from project. We'll call it silly shape. Okay, and now it's there. So now I can delete this, and then I can go back to my test, and I want my silly shape back, and it saves its exact proportions. So if you want something with an exact proportion, dimension, different layers, speeds, whatever, power settings, I believe it saves the power settings too. Something I never made sure. It should all be saved in that image. And then the material library, more for cutting. However, I don't use it very much, if at all. Actually, I don't use it at all. I need something. Grade. Paint. Double click. 8365. Okay. Assign that to the layer. So as long as it's something on the screen and you click it, you can assign whatever values you put in there. So we will new. So crap. I screwed it up, didn't I? Like I said, I don't use it. Play around with it. It's not very helpful for diodes, I find, anyway.
It comes into play with the CO2s where you can save your materials and settings that work with those materials, but it's really more for cutting than anything else.
Yes, I thought I mentioned that. Maybe I didn't. I apologize. Yeah, like I said, I don't play with it, but yeah, mostly for cutting. And that's it for that. So now we're going to go in the settings window, and then I'm going to point out a few different things. The beginner mode, you're going to lose a lot. If you got beginner mode to see most of the stuff I have up on the screen. It keeps it less cluttered and a little more friendly for beginners. However, you lose a lot of the ability to do things quickly and easily. Excuse me. So you can fill render. That is so when you are making shapes on your grid, it'll fill it if it's set to fill, and you'll see it filled. It has its purposes, but I find it gets it's hard to design with it just because things overlap and they cover each other and you can't see everything. So I don't usually have it on. Reduce motion. I've never used it. Apparently they say it makes it slower. Dark background. It's way too dark. I like the light background. The palette buttons. It's these guys right here. You want to see those. Curve quality. That just it's just how nice it shows on your screen. I keep that about there. That'll slow your computer down too. Always use my system clipboard so I can cut and paste. You can invert your mouse wheel if you want. Show full line cursor. That is just a big crosshairs going across your screen as you're moving your mouse. You might like that. I don't. And then you can show your rotary enable on the main laser window, which is right down here. Can you guys see my mouse?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I should have maybe confirmed that before. You can change your toolbar size. You can get that's where I like it. It gets too big. You can make your font size bigger too, but I keep it at default. CO2 machines, big mistake a lot of new users use. They don't change this. If they have a diode, because I think millimeters a second CO2 is default. You can choose millimeters an inch, inches a minute, or inch grid with millimeters a minute. I like everything in inches. I do not like millimeters. Now, this is where your grid contrast, you can turn off your grid so you don't have your grid lines on your screen. Kind of visible, fairly visible, very visible. I like them very visible. And then this is how you can go 1 inch, 2 inch, 1.5 inch, half inch, quarter inch, 1 1/4 inch. That's just the grid spacings that you see on your grid. Snapping distance. This is how far away an edge is to another edge before it snaps to your grid. I have them set at 1/8 of an inch. I will do a little more on snapping later. Selection tolerance, how many pixels your mouse is before when you click and it'll actually grab it. So I got it set fairly close, just so I don't accidentally grab other things, but I don't have it so small that I can't grab it. And then object snap distance, again, snapping is how far before it snaps to another object. Again, more on snapping later, and that has to be enabled. Snap to grid and also snap to objects needs to be enabled. Moving it, your shape moving increments. You can you have 3 options for moving. Well, 4 if you use your mouse. You get the control plus an arrow key, just the arrow keys, and then the shift arrow keys. So my control plus the arrow keys moves them fairly noticeable. And then my arrow key by himself, very minute, very fine movements. And then my shift arrow key is a very large movement. I can tell you what, but I'm assuming that's the fraction of an inch, since I'm in inches. Camera, you can go full color, different settings for the camera. Most of you won't be able to do that. This is more, try to keep it set to default, as I don't think I've personally changed anything. I left it all default. It's just importing information for LightBurn from other files, and then your saving options. But just leave that alone, and you should be fine. Okay. Next window.
Sean, before you move on real quick, we got a question in, and because person is asking, brand new, can you tell me how to get the box with the frame box? And I'm sorry if I'm interpreting your question wrong, but what I'm thinking is down in the lower right where you have your laser tab active.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they're asking how to get that view back because perchance they've clicked on art library or something else is covering that up. So,
Okay. So they don't have their laser window?
I'm not sure of if I'm translating this question correct, but that might be.
So if you're missing a window, usually you can find it by going in here. Sometimes reset to default will reset it. However, today I actually had an issue where I lost my camera control window and I couldn't get it back. So I actually had to go a little deeper and do some research myself today. So I closed LightBurn and then, oops, fingers are heavy. Close that. And then I go to reopen. But before I double click on LightBurn to reopen it, I hold down the Shift key. And if you hold down the Shift key and then double click on LightBurn, it should reset everything completely, and then you should be able to load all your windows back in the on the right hand side here, and then turning them off and on should work for you.
Okay, and then
that helped.
we had one other question. Just a quick explanation. Green dot in the middle of the screen, brown square in the bottom left, and what they indicate. I don't know if you had touched on that previously or not.
No, well, that's the green is your center. That's center of everything right now. So if I add that, that's going to be center of that image. If I do this, now it's going to be center of these two images. That just displays center. This is, so I'll zoom in. There's two dots. You got the dot in the corner of the grid, and then you got the dot with the crosshairs. The dot with the crosshairs is my laser position, which we can't see anymore for why? Oh, because my inch is up there and we're zoomed in. That's why we can't see it anymore. And then this is just where it's orientated to the bottom left. If I'm still in absolute or current position anyway. Sorry. That was for current position. Yeah, that's why. Yeah, in the center it was for current position, and then absolute coordinates. It'll start from there. It'll stay down there, but that's bottom left. So if I was to go into device settings and change that, that would all move up. And then that'll move over to the right, top right now. So this is where 0, 0 is calculated from, if you see what I mean. Absolute coordinates. I forgot that I was in current position. I didn't go back to absolute. But now that's just where it's going to start from, because I have it in the center. I would change that to go there. Yeah, so that's where it would set its 0, or its origin point. I hope that makes sense.
We're getting thumbs up, so we're I think they understand that.
Okay. I apologize. It's sometimes I have a hard time figuring out my words. All right, now I got that fixed back to normal for me. Where were we? Device settings. Right? Is that? Yeah, that's where we were. All right. Excuse me. I'm getting dry mouth here. So this is your device settings. This is where you're going to set your origin points. You can change the widths and dimensions of your bed. My bed's a little smaller than what you can actually get, just because I got all the fancy additions to it, which makes my working space just a little smaller. It's actually smaller than what I have indicated in my height and width, but that's just so when I do center it for my camera, I can just use the mat and center my piece do my thing. But apart from that, it's about 23.5 by 17 with what I have in accessories on my machine right now. Enable pointer offset, that's more for CO2s, not for diodes, because we use our actual laser beam to point. That's since you can't see the CO2 laser because its wavelength is invisible to the eye, they use a laser pointer and then they can set the offset from there. Z-axis diodes don't have it other than the manual. This would be for, again, CO2s with the automatic Z, and they enable it that way. I haven't been able to play with that yet. Tab pulse width, that's just for when you're cutting tabs. I'm not very familiar with it, but that just, when it pulses the laser, it's just how wide that pulse is. Auto home diodes with no limit switches, turn that off. That will cause an alarm 3 because it can't find itself. Fast white space scan, that's just the distance or the speed that the laser is going to go back and forth in an area where it's not doing anything. You can set it to pretty much whatever you want to its max speed, but you will lose quality and more than likely steps, which will screw up your burn. Enable jogging, I never touched that. Enable DTR signal, I don't know what that is. G0 moves for overscan. I've seen it screw people's overscan up and then fix it when it's off. Again, not very familiar with those aspects, just don't have them on with the diodes. With beginner off, you can enable your laser fire button here so it appears in your move window. Oops. I leave the enable out of bounds warning. It's just a nice reminder once in a while, wakes you up. And then you can set your return to finish position if you don't want it at the origin. So say you want it at your farthermost reaches, you can set it to 18 and 0, 18 being the Y, and then it'll move there once it's done burning, so it's out of the way and you can take your material out without your laser X gantry being in the way. I hope that explained. G-code, you can add G-code to the start and end of anything you burn in LightBurn. Never done it, never researched G-code. I don't know how to do G-code, so don't ask me how to do that. Additional settings. This is where LightBurn can kind of give you an idea of how long your burn is going to take. So it has default values in there, which aren't going to be the same as your values that you have on your control board. So you have to go into device settings, come to additional settings, click read from controller. It'll change it, click OK, and then now you can go in your preview. And I got nothing, so it won't preview anything. But now it'll give you a fairly accurate representation of what you're going to burn. However, when you get into doing actual photographs, your laser is going to go a lot slower than you think it's going if you try to go way too fast, because it can only go so fast calculating and computing the amount of dots that you're going to want per inch. So it can only go so fast. And I'm assuming that's between 80 and 100. And think of being generous. And that's inches per minute, not millimeters. So that would be around between 15 and 2,000 millimeters, I think. What else? Do we got any questions so far on what I've covered before I get into anything else?
Not as of yet. The only question that we've gotten is, after this presentation, if I have questions, how do I reach Mr. Sean Nelson? And I just put that you have to be you can access you in the users group if they're members. So I was covering that.
Yeah. You can tag me in the user group. Sometimes if I'm available and I got time, I will offer to do a one-on-one. It's not all the time, but if I do, I will try to help where I can. Sorry, I got dry mouth. It's like -5 -30 here, Celsius. I got my heater right on me, so I'm gonna be drinking a lot of water. All right, so I got pretty much every single icon that I can have on here. I'll try to go through them a little quickly and then try to go more in depth in some of the more common ones. So this is start a new file, open a LightBurn file, save your LightBurn file, import a file that's not a LightBurn file, undo, redo, copy, cut, paste, delete. Again, move your screen. I don't use that. I tend to just zoom in. Again, you got your zoom page, zoom in, zoom out, zoom to frame selection, which I've never, there you go. So frame selection, zoomed in there. Take a photo, I think, update the background for the camera. Yeah, so it just does that. I've never used that from there. Nice. There's your preview buttons. You can go into your settings right there. You can go into your device settings right from here. Nice and quick. Again, never use that. I always do it this way. Old school. You got your mirroring options. You got your centering button. These are your alignments for positioning objects to other objects, or on the, this is to position objects on the screen, on your grid, and this is to position objects to one another. These I actually haven't used yet. I think these are, make items the same width. I've never actually really had to do that. And make items the same height. And again, these are just positioning, top, bottom, center of a line, on top, vertical, horizontals, and on the sides. But you can get a lot of that with snapping as well, which we will get into. And then I did mention this is to position your, whatever you have selected on the work screen, top left, top right, bottom left, bottom right, center of page, and then you can move to a laser position. So if my laser is positioned here, and I want to move that to my laser position, and I'm using my top left corner, I want to do it center, I do it center, move it to the laser position. Always handy. I can go to the top of the page, and this is how those work. I guess maybe, let's get another one here. Show you. So hold it when you can hold down shift and you can select multiple items at the same time, and then your big window is going to expand around both. Well, maybe that's just for a line. Hold on. Again, this is new. Maybe I should have played with this before I showed you guys, eh? My bad. I don't know. Okay. Distribute them vertically on centers and distribute them vertically or on what. I'll play with that and I'll get back to you. How's that? My bad. Makes me look bad now. It's okay. I thought I had everything. I guess I didn't. So, this is just your mouse. So you're going to want to remember to select this after you have any of these selected, and you won't, and then it's going to piss you off. You got your line tool, so you just draw lines, and then, actually, I don't know if you guys noticed where you got that crosshair with the circle. That's just meaning I connected. And then you can let go.
Is there a specific cropping tool?
Sorry?
Is there a specific cropping tool?
Cropping tool?
That's what the question is.
Okay, I couldn't hear, you kept cutting out when you said cropping. Yes and no, there is a cropping tool, and I'm hoping I got time to go through that and kind of show you how to do cropping in LightBurn. It's not specific, but it's the line tool with the tool layer down here, which I haven't gotten into quite yet. change the number of sides on it. So if I want just 2 sides, I guess it doesn't do 2. Go 5, it'll change it to 5, and go 9, 8. You can go 30 if you want, I think. Can you? Yeah, it just looks more like a circle, but you can kind of see. I got it. But you change it, and you can change the heights and widths of how you want your polygons to show. I don't typically make those. I don't have use. Okay, delete. Polygons. This is your node editing tool. You get a bunch of different options where you can either smooth, align, convert, delete, insert different nodes, insert a node at midpoint in between 2 other nodes, break the shape at a node, trim it or extend it. Sometimes these sometimes these commands work and sometimes they don't. And I will show you quickly. Was this the one I wanted to do? Yeah, but we'll go with this first. Okay. So now when you make squares and shapes, sometimes you're going to have to convert them to path to insert nodes so you can edit nodes. So that's just a right click your mouse, and then it'll bring up a bunch of options. Your cut, paste, copy. You can delete, you can select whatever's selected, group anything you got. Node editing does not work when shapes are grouped, by the way. It does not work. So everything has to be on its own. You can lock them together, convert to path, which allows you to edit nodes, or make it a picture, flat image, which I don't find helpful. I don't know why it's there. It's got a purpose, I just haven't needed it. So now, click that, go to node editing, and then when you select the shape, you're going to see these squares. These are called nodes. This is the start point. Sorry, I was just playing with something that I might have just confused everybody with now. But so now you can insert nodes by just hovering over the line. So you'll know that it's selecting the line by changing the cursor to that line with the circle in between. And then, so just hit I for insert. And if you ever forget what the code is, or the command button, or the shortcut key is, or whatever for it, it's in here. I right click my mouse there. So it's just SLCDIMBTE. Those are the commands. You don't need to hold down control. Just hover over the line and push whatever letter you want. So I just inserted midpoint. So now I can click that node and just move it around and shape it. So if I want to smooth out these corners and make something real funky, I'm just hitting the S. I'm hovering over the node I want to change and hitting the S. That's it, that's all. And notice how here it turned all circular because there's only the nodes in the corners, but between these two, because there's a node in the middle here, it curved or smoothed out to that node. And then from here I can further edit and then play around with but this is just something you can play with later. So if we break a node, if I break it, I broke it, now I can move it. I can split. And then usually it should go back. You put it on top of each other, it should go back. Sometimes nodes don't work. There are a set of rules that when you're trying to connect nodes together that LightBurn has to make it work. One, they got to be on the same layer, so they got to be all on layer 00 or all on layer 01 that you're trying to connect. And another one is I can't intersect a T, or hard to understand is how they programmed it. Now that we got this, I'll delete this funny looking thing, and then and we'll go to a little bit of snapping. So with snapping enabled, and you got your distances, it really matters where you grab the object. So if I want, for instance, this side, so this side to snap to this side, I have to pick the side, because if I don't, it's not going to snap. It's just going to go right past it. So you'll see the cursor change. You'll know you have it, and then see it snaps right to it. It doesn't go past it anymore. It snaps to it now. So now those shapes are on top of each other, overlapping. You can't see the difference in the lines. So if I pick center here, now that I'm center, I'm not the center snapping to every 1/4 inch on my grid. The center snapping to that. The center is going to snap to that. Now the center snapped to the center, and you can tell by the way my cursor changed to the X with a circle. That means the items are centered to the two objects are center of each other. Go off. It's not centered. Centered. Not centered. Centered. Hope that makes sense. But now you can see where my lines aren't snapping to each other because I'm not picking those lines. So I pick that line. That line's going to snap. And that's going to snap. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. Took me a bit to figure that out. To be honest, I figured that out today. Because it was pissing me off that it wasn't working. So nodes. So yeah, you can insert nodes, delete nodes, add nodes, and yeah, play with those. Those are fun and frustrating all at the same time. Text. So text, you can start with, make it bigger. So hello. Oh, I gotta click there again. Go there. Okay, so a couple different things. People like curving text. So in the new, I think it was one of the recent updates of LightBurn. They implemented this curve button, this blue dot, where you click the dot and it'll curve on the center of your text. However, if you got a more intricate shape, such as this, and we're going to go back into the node editing. But first we got to, it's already a path, perfect. Select the shape, go to node, insert node, and then we're going to want to smooth the node, and now we're going to play with it, rotate it a bit. So if you got a shape like that and you need your text to kind of follow that, and you want it in the middle, so make sure you got a line middle, X middle, Y middle, but you might not want X middles, or you want X middle, but you may want Y bottom. So shift, make sure when selected, hold shift, select the other object, right click, and then apply path to text. And it went upside down. We can fix that. I could fix that. I thought I could fix that. Maybe it's just the way that's not right. Control Z to go back. I bet you it's going to go upside down even though I do top. I have a feeling. What if I mirror this? Mirror you first. Alright. Now apply path. Still upside down. Well, let's mirror you now. No. There you go. So now, path
seen
to
that
text,
happen.
get,
I've seen that happen, Sean. If you inadvertently move your mouse past the axis zero plane of the curve, it thinks you're pulling the text underneath the curve, and that's what can cause it to flip around or to one side or the other.
okay. Okay, I'll have to, okay. I did not realize that, but
It can be very infuriating. I get it.
yeah, I didn't even realize I did any of that. So with that, now you can do some pretty cool stuff. And now now you can size this, right? So as you size this line, it's gonna change the orientation of the letters. So you can do some pretty funky stuff with that. Now if you can't size the lettering anymore, it's now locked on that path. Just for hindsight. But if you ever do something that you don't like, just hold the control, push Z, got your undo, and you got unlimited undos until there's nothing left to undo. It's fun. Very handy. So if you want to quickly move your laser just fast to somewhere, you just grab that, push that, and it moves it. And then that's where your laser goes. I use that a lot when I'm sizing my bed with my camera. We'll go back to origin. Ruler tool. Very simple. Actually, I'm going to do it with an object because I'll show you what it does. Move you out of the way. It always goes in the way of what you want to measure. For whatever reason, the window knows where you want to measure. So it'll highlight an edge that it's going to count from. And then you can go down, and it gives it. And actually, it's. I want to say it's 100% accurate, and if it's not, it's very close. I've used this a few different times, and it's been like bang on. So this will give you an accurate dimension. So if you want, say, 34 and 3.4 millimeters square, because that's what the size of your square is, 34.4 millimeters all the way around, you can get 34.4, and you can make sure it's 34.4. If for whatever reason your size doesn't do that, if you know what I mean. Anyways, it's very accurate, so it's a good tool to have. Offset. Okay, what was I going to do with the offset? Yes. So we'll do a little project. So something I've seen on our forum or our group and Laser LightBurn is how to get an emblem inside the stripes of the American flag without the images kind of screwing each other up. And we are going to do 2 or 3 different functions with this. So I went and I grabbed from my library that we had made. This is something I traced from an image that I took off the internet. However, I'm going to show you how to trace, and I don't have much to add to, but we will go with the Strategic Homeland Intervention Enforcement Logistics Division, or SHIELD. And we'll use this to implement. We'll pretend that this is a nice crest that somebody's going to want on their flag. And as an image, this isn't going to work. This isn't going to weld. This isn't going to do anything very nice to the flag other than screw everything up. So you're going to want to trace it. So right click, and you're going to see trace image. You're going to click trace image. Now it's always helpful to hit the fade function so it lightens the image and it shows you the purple. The purple is where you're going to get some new lines. Now you can play with the cutoff, which is going to change and do different things. Normally LightBurn picks the best spot, or it tries to figure out the best spot for a trace. However, you can fine tune it a tad if you wanted to get those letters down there. You can. We'll just cancel that so we can go back normally. And you can also change clear boundary, show points. I don't use, and then use delete image after you trace it. So if you don't want to keep the image and you just want to LightBurn to discard it, just keep that on, and then you'll just be left with the vector that comes on, or that it made.
Sean, there was a request if it's possible to zoom in on your screen a little bit so that we can see it better. I'm trying to see if we can change the layout as well.
What do you mean? Zoom in on what, this?
The way that when I turned on closed captioning, the screen kind of split in two and had your picture and the computer layout equal in size. So I'm trying to see if I can resize it a little bit to get a little bit better view.
Okay, so I'll just wait then, or you could just take me off, and then I can.
Well,
make fun.
It won't let me do that, unfortunately. It doesn't let you resize the elements at all. So hopefully by increasing that a little bit, that helps us a little bit. For those viewing, if you can go to full screen mode on your feed, that may help you as well to see it a little bit better. Our apologies for that limitation on the video feed. So go ahead, Sean.
Okay. Where was I?
You were tracing the image.
So yeah. 10-4, tracing the image. Alright, so we got to delete the image after trace. So usually I always delete it. You can optimize it. You can make it a little smoother. Sometimes you lose, sometimes you gain. And again, optimize. Sometimes you lose, sometimes you gain. So most people who have gotten advice or pointers from me, I say play around, test, and I'm going to have to say that. Play around with it and test it, even though you may hate those words. The best way is just to play. We'll leave it like that. We'll go okay. So now I got my two images. We're going to set those to fill. So now when we go, make sure I don't have cut select graphics. Perfect. So now you can see that they're both filled. You got your American flag, and then you got the shield emblem. So now when I put these on top of each other as is, that's probably pretty center. Right there. It's going to do something funky. So because there's overlap, it's going to cancel out filling. If that made any sense. Which you may want that, you may not want that. I definitely don't want that right now for this application. So what we're going to have to do is, since this is, once you trace something, anything traced is going to be it's going to be as a group. So you're going to have to ungroup it, and this is going to cause some issues later down the road. It's going to be hard to select everything.
Hold on a second, Sean. We've got the video is frozen on us, and we're trying to get that to correct.
Okay.
So, unfortunately, it seems that the captioning is causing us to lose a lot of the screen. So, for those watching, I would recommend you try hitting the caption button on your display. That may help. Otherwise, we will have to see if we can get a transcript. So I'm going to have to turn that back off to get us our resolution back for visibility.
Am I not talking loud enough?
There's some people, sometimes the feed can be a little bit choppy, and the audio will cut in and out, so it can be hard to follow at times. So.
Oh, okay.
So someone asked if we could turn on closed captioning so they didn't miss anything that you said.
Oh, okay, I got it.
All right. Alright, so we turned off closed captioning to bring your screen back because it was the closed captioning was taking up too much bandwidth. It was making the video freeze. So you can continue.
Okay. I thought you were explaining everything. So we're gonna make the flag a different layer, just to make things just a little simpler right now. So now you're gonna have to ungroup this, which is the single body and head, and then you're gonna want to just select the outer ring. Now this is a nice one because it's already got the outer ring for us. If it only had this ring, we'd have to make one. Maybe I'll grab another image and I'll show you that as well, because that will be an issue. So you grab that, hold your shift key, click this, and then you can go to your weld. Now weld and bowling, they kind of do the same thing, depending. Sometimes bowling's better, and then sometimes weld's better. Weld, you can do multiple shapes, but bowling, it's complicated to explain. So I'll just show you right now. But now you got the stripes going around the crest. Now, I've seen a few people ask how to do that on a couple different pages and in the forums, and I've seen some neat answers. Some were pretty creative. This was the most simple. Now, so we go back to fill for that layer. We're gonna go back to preview. Oh, what happened there? What happened there? Now I gotta try to figure out how to get everything else back. Oh, I know what it is. I got it. Certain way of filling. That's probably what it is. So that's a prime example of not filling everything together. Sometimes that. All right. I think I got everything selected. Group it, and then actually we'll group all that too. All right. Okay. What? Of course, it's going to do that to me. Fill shapes all. CI. Try that. Why? What's going on? I don't know why it's doing that. That? No. Well, that's funny. Okay. That doesn't make sense. Anyway, that's how you get a crest in between the flag. And for whatever reason, it's not doing what I want it to do. It should be working. What's this? There we go. Maybe because I have the different layers going. But that's what it's going to look like. Control Z brings you back. So if you want to keep that middle portion from each other, it's just different welding options to give you different different outcomes. Control Z, delete that. Figure out why the two different layers didn't work together. Okay, so delete that. Okay,
Sean,
so,
we have a couple questions.
Yeah.
If you have, Colin Parker wants to know, says, if you have a rectangle picture, say 2 inches wide by 8 inches long, and you want to bend a picture to a curved line, is that possible? Can you curve a picture?
Like a photo picture or like a vector picture? I'm not sure exactly what he's asking, so I don't know how to answer that.
Because it says, if I have a rectangular image, is there a way to bend the image to fit around an arc?
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, if it's a vector, you can bend a vector, but you can't bend a JPEG if that's what you're asking, Colin.
Yeah, even a vector would be.
Yeah, he says a photo, so you can't curve a photo.
No, definitely not a photo. However, there is image masking, which if there's time, I will. I was planning on touching on that if there was some time left. If not, I can always do a version 2 or a video on image masking for everybody if they would like that. But apart from kind of bending, you'd have to filter that in GIMP or Photoshop or something. They got filters that can do that kind of thing.
And then Lorraine asked, you mentioned holding Shift to execute some actions. Is there a list of possible keyboard keys to use as a? Is there a list other than Shift? Is there a list of keyboard shortcut keys?
And I just sent you or posted a link to the LightBurn software documentation that lists all the available hotkeys for you.
Okay, we answered that question for Lorraine. Awesome, Jim. Thanks.
Thank you, Jim. I was going to reference that, but perfect. Good job.
Yay.
Okay, so all right, offset. Offset's handy. I'll just show you just a quick. So if you got a shape and you want to outline it, or you can outline it inward, outward. You can round the edges. You can corner the edges. You can bevel the edges. You can make it as wide as you want, as narrow as you want. You can go in and out and do different funny things. You can delete the original object or keep it, select them all or not, optimize just least amount of nodes possible, in case you got something that's got like a lot of curves and weird shape and angles and stuff. Simplifying the results will lessen the amount of nodes that might already be there. Because if you imported DXF or SVG from another software that someone created, they could have a crap ton of nodes and may not be all necessary, and LightBurn will clean it up, which makes it a lot quicker to process and compute and stuff. Okay, so with that part is done, and now to the fun stuff. Arrays. Now, a question that used to get raised a lot: how do I make my own grid, or get a grid, or find a mat with an inch grid or a millimeter grid? I'll show you a quick way to make a grid. hold shift when you're making a shape, and it'll make a perfectly, like if you're doing a triangle, it'll be an equilateral triangle. If you do a circle, it'll be a perfect circle. You do a square, it'll be a perfectly four-sided, even four-sided square if you hold the shift key. So it's going to make a quick square. I made it 1.5 inches, but I want 1 inch. Okay, so select bottom left corner. I didn't go over this. So when you have a shape selected and you go around here, and you want to look at the coordinates of where that particular spot is. So you want the bottom left corner, and you want to know where that is on your grid, 5 and 10. Right, so that's bottom left corner. But if you want to know where the upper left corner is, and that's 5 and 11. I forgot to mention that. I am very sorry. That's very important because this will help you find the coordinates of your shape in case you want to move, like which I want to do. I want to move this to 0, 0, but I want to move the bottom left corner to 0, 0. So you got to make sure that that is selected for bottom left. 0 and 0. So now the array. So this is to make multiple copies of your shape or image or what have you. So X column, I have 24 squares, so we're going to go 24. Oh, but we got a problem. My spacing is -0.6, 6,929. Why is that? We want 1, no, we want 0. Sorry, we want 0 spacing. We want line on top of line. And then, same here, 0 spacing. And then I have 18 squares on my Y. So we're going to go 18. Okay. Now I have my 1-inch grid. So now you can add your numbers for each line, and you can do halves if you want to do halves. You can do halves, etc., etc. And then this is where optimized cut path really comes into play, because right now when we do preview, and we're going to want to take fill off for this one because that would defeat the purpose. So when you go preview, it's going to take 21 minutes for this to burn. And as you see, it's going around in a square. So it's doing each square every single time, burning a line after line, going over lines that are already burnt. So each line essentially is getting burnt 2 to 3 times, depending on where it lands, I think. And so 21 minutes. If you go to optimization settings and or did I already remove overlapping lines? Oh, I wasn't. So I turned remove overlapping lines on. You hit OK. And now I cut it off by about 11 minutes and 8 seconds. So now it's only going to do each line once. And now it's going to burn. It picks a weird direction. Just let it do its thing. But now it's only burning each line once. Right? And it's a lot quicker. But that's why optimized cut path is very, very useful. So I hope that explains that. So this, I've been doing this the whole time, and I haven't really fully explained it, because you'll see it be green and red. So green, I don't have to fully encompass what I want. I just have to touch it. So if I'm touching it, it'll select it. So even if I just do that, it'll select it. So I can do that, it'll select all that, as long as it's touching. And when it's red, if it isn't, this isn't going to select anything, because I'm not selecting any. I'm not fully selecting it. For it to select in the red, it's got to be full. So if I only want to select the top layer, you want to go from left to right, and then cover everything that you want selected. And then if you don't really care and you just want to select everything and you just want to go quick, you go from right to left, and all you have to do is just touch it. If you touch it, it'll select it. Circular arrays. Oh, circle. I'm using a tool layer. Now, a tool layer is a layer where you can make it so right now it's kind of broken, it won't be solid. This will not ever be output by the laser. So laser or LightBurn will not send this as G-code to burn. This is just a shape for you to reference and do something and use. For instance, either image masking, you can use it to crop, you can use it to frame. So if you're doing a bunch of coasters, you can use a tool layer and make your coaster shapes, place them on your grid as you would place them on your laser bed, and it'll never burn that shape. It's just there for as a tool or as a reference point. So for this, we're going to offset again. We're just going to go inward. That should be enough. Okay. So, and now I'm going to make something that we're going to burn. So I'm going to make little hashes. And then this is where the snapping comes into play. Oh, it's not going to grab it because it's so small. There we go. So now see how it snapped to that circle? It's following it. Alright, and now with my alignment, we are going to want shift. The little hash marker is selected, the rectangle is selected. Select the outer circle. And I'm going to want to center it. So now it's centered to the circle. So now we'll select that again and then select our outer circle again because I want these to be my minute marks. And these are going to go all the way around my clock. Now we're going to select the circular array. Start at 0, which is the first one at 0. And we're going to want the end at 360 degrees because the circle is 360 degrees. Steps, don't worry about because those will be automatically calculated for the amount of copies we want. And there are 60 minutes in an hour, or yes, 60 minutes in every hour. So we're going to want 60 little marks. And now we got our little tags for our minute marks right there. So now for this, well, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so now the fun, awkward part comes in. We don't want that so big. Make that smaller, right there. That's a 1. Nope. Come on. There we go. Now select this again. We'll make you a 1. Now we got to move you to approximately where 1 o'clock is going to be. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, go there. All right. Now we're going to have to select. Now for a clock, text has got some different. You can do date timestamps, and I forgot that. No, we're not doing a 1. We got to do DD because. Sorry, people. Lots on my mind here. So, DD works for serial stamping or just time stamping or merge or read up on serial stamping and date time stamps in LightBurn or in LightBurn. It'll give you a lot of information. There's a lot of documentation on this stuff that can tell you way more than I can. I just use it, and sometimes very slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's approximately where 1 is. Offset of 0. And now we're going to select our inner circle because that's how we want it to go around. Is the inner circle. Go back to circular array. We don't want 60 anymore because there's only because of how that was positioned there. If we rotate objects, it'll make them all perfect all the way around. And that actually looked like it centered quite well. I'm happy with that. So we go, okay. And now when we go to preview, if it all works, but I did something wrong here. We're gonna have to go back. We're gonna have to redo this. We're gonna have to do offset of 1. We want it to start at 1. And shift, circle, circular array, everything's the same. Just leave it. And now we go back to preview. Now we got our 1 to 12, and then that's your clock face. You can get pretty fancy, but that's just a quick demonstration of using the circular array to make a clock, and then using some of the text features that LightBurn has, and why I like it so much. It just sometimes makes things quicker, because when I made my first clock, I just kind of imported a clock image and expanded it and traced it and hoped it stayed okay. This is much easier. Any questions on that? Does anyone have any questions on that?
No questions. No questions that I haven't answered. We've had a few non-LightBurn questions that we've just been answering in the chat, but that's what everyone's asked so far.
Okay.
I want to thank you because you taught me how to make a clock. I was one of those people that was doing the buy a clock face thing.
I'm not gonna lie, I saw it on YouTube. None of this I figured out on my own. I just went on YouTube and I watched about 1,000 videos on LightBurn. Okay. It's looking like I've been going over an hour and a half here. This is pretty long.
Yeah, I've just been letting you go because you're covering so many good things. So, is there anything else quick that you want to show us? If otherwise, we'll wrap it up for the night.
If people are still watching, it's not that I gotta go or anything. I'm just gonna show the radius here. The radius tool. You just go on and then you can whatever. I really don't know how it calculates the radius. I'm not a math magician, so I just kind of, if I want a big radius, I make the number big. And then, do I like what it looks like? I love it. So I'm just gonna keep clicking the corners. And now I got a rounded cornered square. That's the radius tool. Makes it quick. That's really all. No, I think that's optimize different streamline fill images. Camera. I'll show you just quickly why I like the camera and play with it. So if I update my overlay, I see my bed. Oh, I got my chisel there. Why is that there? That's dangerous. So yeah, I'm going to use it. Projects my laser bed onto my screen. Even though I confused somebody before, I love the word projects. I am going to use it again. I'm going to be stubborn. And then I can literally just position, like once it's dialed in, which it takes getting used to quickly, in a reasonable fashion, be able to calibrate the camera every time you got different material on there, because it is designed for a bed that will lower to the thickness of your material, which obviously our diodes are fixed frame, they don't have that. But once that's dialed in, it just makes me really easy to quickly place something. And for instance, say this, I wanted to engrave on this handle here, which I wouldn't because it would probably kill me as it's engraving it. With that, it's just, you place it down there, place it on, just break down, say, Sean's chisel, and then you can literally just, hell, why not just do this? a spelling mistake. Don't judge me. Oh, it's upside down. So now it's nice and small. We'll zoom in. We will pan out. Grab this. Rotate. And then I just set it there. Come over here. Hit start. And it'll burn it. And I'm done. I don't have to frame each. I don't have to frame it. I don't gotta. It's there. Once it's dialed in, it's there. It's good. So that's just a quick little blurb of why I use camera. If there's any other questions, if not, thanks for watching. I hope I helped or made sense and didn't ramble too much.
Since we have just a second, you said you were going to circle back to the cropping thing.
Oh, right. Okay. Let me open. What's a good one there? I will just. What's one? Where is it? There it is. So here's one I've cropped in LightBurn already. So I've traced around the house and everything. I'll show you quickly how I did that. So we'll just do this little portion of this these individuals' home here, and we'll go in the tool layer. Make sure I got the line tool selected, and then I'll start making a line. Tool layer. It doesn't want to give me the tool layer just yet. Why not? Hold on. All right. No, that's not what I want to do. Select you. Go to tool. Thank you. Delete. Go back. Now we're on the tool layer. So we'll start there. We want to cut this out. So you just like cropping and kind of masking and LightBurn or something different. You know, zoom in, kind of follow, zoom out. Let's do this quickly. And then see that you got that cursor change there to that circle and crosshair. There. See, now it's not going to continue on with the line. So now we go back to the mouse. Make sure we select the tool layer, the line. Shift, select the image as well. All right, do I have it? Yeah, I got it all selected. Right click, apply mask to image. And then it's cropped. And then you can also go and then flatten the image mask later, and then it becomes permanent, but I don't want that because I want the house. So that's the cropping that I hope you meant, whoever that was. And
That is very cool.
Thank you. I think that does help cover the topic they were after. Like I said, it's not a typical cropping, but it still provides that function.
yes, I mean, it's not a specific cropping tool, but it does work. You can also use like the circle, like this. I used the circle tool, made an oval around the image, cropped them out, and then I did the line after to get around the hair and everything. But you can use shapes too, and crop with shapes. You can crop with lettering as well. I mean, if you really wanted to. That's just another aspect of the tool layers that works with LightBurn. Okay, I think that's all I got.
Well,
I think, yeah.
I want to thank you for joining us. Thank you, Sean, very much. These instructions have been absolutely amazing. So hopefully we've helped our viewers. Our website, on our YouTube channel, and in the users group, so you can re-watch it to your heart's content. Next month, we are going to
what next month
I
is.
don't remember what next month is. I have it set up, and now for the life of me, I have had 2 hours sleep in the last 48 hours, so I don't remember what next month is. Please stay tuned to our calendar and our page, and we will post that. Thank you, Sean. Have a wonderful evening, Facebook land and YoraHome family. And we will see you next month for Creators Night.